If Digimon Survive was a person at a party, it'd be the guy in the kitchen having an intense conversation with you about life and grief and the future, while also occasionally dragging you out into the garden for a quick game of rock, paper, scissors. It's a visual novel with turn-based, almost chess-like battles thrown in there periodically as well. I remember being really excited to play this game. I bought it literally a couple of days after it was released back in 2022. After it finally released, I remember it was subject to a fair few delays. But I actually didn't get around to properly playing it until nearly 3 years later. I think I maybe played an hour and a half of it on release, but then my attention just got pulled to 100 other things and I just never came back to it. Until now. I have now completed the main story. I actually just reset my save data and started from scratch again, because I've forgotten everything I'd done by this point anyway. So it's time to have a little chat about it, because even by Digimon Games standards, this was a step into new territory. As always, there will be light spoilers in here, so here's your warning for that. Digimon Survive opens with a really beautiful anime segment. I love the art style here, and this sort of sets the scene. We get a brief feel for the setting and the personalities of a few of the characters we'll be going on this whole journey with. It almost sets the bar too high, because it's all flat, static images with PNG models from here on in. The story follows a group of school friends at a summer camp. Sound familiar? Who find themselves transported to a different world when they investigate a landslide and subsequently a missing person case that's occurred nearby. Which I don't think is the digital world in its traditional sense. It's more like an uncanny mirror world to the real world in this game. A precursor to what the digital world eventually comes to be. And it very quickly becomes a literal game of survival when the group starts encountering these strange, intimidating monsters. Digimon. Although they don't refer to them as Digimon here, they're referred to as Kemonogami, which is a Japanese term for a beast god kind of thing. From what I've heard, there is some sort of lore behind Kemonogami eventually becoming more commonly known as Digimon. Digimon lore is complicated. I didn't see anything explicit about that during this playthrough, maybe I missed it. But like I said, this game appears to be some sort of precursor to a lot of the Digimon narratives we know today. But the bottom line is they run into Digimon, and soon enough other Digimon rush to our aid to fight them off, becoming our partners in the process. They really do seem to have taken a fair bit of inspiration from Digimon Adventure for this one. Our character Takumi gets Agumon because, of course, got to appeal to the Digiboomers like me as much as possible. The story of Digimon Survive is pretty heavy. It delves into morality and consequences and how fear and grief and other emotions can drive our actions. It does not turn its back on the darker topics. Characters die in this game, in pretty brutal fashions as well. It's one thing I've always loved about Digimon. It does take on those more mature themes. I remember even as a kid that was something I enjoyed. Digimon as a franchise doesn't treat you like a child, even when you are a child. I don't remember the Digimon anime slipping swear words in there every so often, but this was really funny to me actually. There is a hefty focus on relationships throughout the game. It is sort of a choose your own adventure game, sometimes in the most literal sense, where you control which way the narrative goes next. And sometimes it's more subtle, where your affinity with one of the other characters is affected by the choices and responses you give. And that can have smaller effects on things down the line. I really enjoyed the story in this game. It's gripping, it's high stakes. It's definitely a slow burner. You are pushing through a lot of dialogue between getting to make decisions about where to go next, who to talk to next. I kind of found myself wanting it to just be a physical digital novel in book form at times. I feel like consuming it via a games console created this weird off feeling in my head. And also at times I felt like I wanted to flick back a few pages to reread some dialogue, but obviously you can't do that. But this is a choose your own adventure type game, so that'd be one huge book to fit all the different pathways in. I want to say there's a lot of replay value to Digimon Survive, but at the same time it's such a long game that I don't know if I want to go through the whole thing again just to see what would have happened if I'd chosen this specific path instead of the other, or reacted in a different way to a certain obstacle. I guess this is where the strength of multiple save slots comes in. because you can save at a certain point and come back to it later on if you want to see what happened down a different pathway. I really should have done that for the final stretch of the game, because there are 3 different endings initially, and then another 1 or 2 special ones I think you can unlock after you've done at least one of those. I chose the Save the World pathway during my playthrough. Let me know which one you went down. Visually, the game looks really nice. This is a very brief opinion because it is just 2D still images with PNG models for the characters, so it would be pretty bad if it didn't look good. But I like the style here. The palettes are really beautiful, and the scenes do have an angle much wider than a physical book would be able to accommodate, so having this as a console experience absolutely has its upsides. Yeah, the visuals carry this game a lot. They really suck you into the world. I'd actually really love to have some of these environments, these backdrops, as HD art pieces. That's not something I've looked into, so if anyone knows any place where they've been uploaded, please do let me know, because I genuinely wouldn't mind getting some framed and put on my walls. The backdrops convey an awful lot to say they are static images. They did a really good job here. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this game is mostly visual novel, but there is a funky battle system in here too. There aren't a crazy amount of battles if you skip out on the optional ones, but this is a kind of strange way to do it. It's executed in a chess-like system, where you move your Digimon around the battle map, and once you get in range, you can attack the enemy Digimon. Striking them from the side or from the back gives you a boost in damage as well, to add an extra layer of strategy to it. And there was some novelty to this for the first 3 or 4 battles, but then it quickly became tedious for me, and I was yearning for more straightforward turn-based battling instead of chasing my enemies around a game board for ages every time. Kudos to them for trying something a bit different. I'll never bash developers for doing that. You recruit Digimon along the way that you can call upon to be an extra ally in battle. You do this by talking to the Digimon, and if you say the right things, which it's kinda hard to know what is and isn't, the Digimon will join the crew and be available to pick in your next battles. Again, trying something new and novel, can't berate them for that. I just wish it was a bit more of a skill-based thing. The music in this game is potentially one of my favourite video game soundtracks ever. It evokes so much emotion. I love how subtly haunting a lot of the tracks are. They're just haunting enough to keep you on edge and hold you in a sense of doubt. It ensures that you don't strut through the game with confidence. The moody tones here kinda do the opposite. They put you in a state of, oh god, we might not all make it to the other side of this. And even the more uplifting tracks feel more like you're in a brief respite period from the danger you're eventually going to have no choice but to throw yourself back in front of again. The main sort of title theme, I guess you could call it, it's called Kizuna, is just beautiful. I feel it makes me experience a slightly different emotion every time I hear it. It's sort of appropriate for wherever you are in the story, so it's a very fitting piece to have playing over the title screen. It really does amplify every situation you find yourself in, so when you play Digimon Survive, make sure you have the volume turned up for sure. Digimon games are all so different, and this is another attempt by the franchise to captivate people by doing something they haven't done before. From what I've seen, the sentiment around Digimon Survive is mixed. Some people thought it was a bit of a drag, some people see it as a masterpiece of storytelling, and I think both can be true at the same time. It's a game you need to really give yourself to for a while. It's long, so if you go large periods of time without playing, you might feel a bit lost coming back to it with no way to flip back and catch yourself up. But if you can consistently give a chunk of time to this game every day or two, like you would if you were reading a book, then the story will absolutely have you glued to the screen. Would I be down for another Digimon Survive visual novel style game? Probably. But I don't think this is the medium that's going to excite people into Digimon. The drama is there, but the action isn't, if that makes sense. It's more of a spin-off kind of deal for the hardcore fans. I feel like that's where it finds its place if it were to become a running series. Personally, I think they need to double down and triple down on the Digimon story series over the next few years. We will see what ends up happening down the road. But I'll throw the mic over to you guys now. What did you think of Digimon Survive? Did it grip you all the way? Or did you end up falling off it before finishing the story? Was the battling fun for you? I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts here. Drop it all down in the comments below. While you're there, if you could drop a quick like on the video, that'd be a huge help. Subscribe for more Digimon videos. Thanks so much for watching. Take it easy, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.